My first 2 semesters of teaching this course they were absolutely horrible. It was a dreadful experience for me, and I did not want to go back. But the chair of my department didn't really give me an option. Now, during those first 2 semesters, energy in the classroom was low, student presentations were disjointed, and students found a way to skip class. In grad school, I started teaching a hybrid communication course. And I was excited. I was excited to teach, scared and excited at the same time to start this amazing opportunity to teach this course. Hybrid course was integrating two ideas: public speaking and human communication. So this introduction to public speaking, introduction to human communication, we brought it together, and the title of the course was communication skills. And these first 2 semesters, they were crazy. They were really tough on me. And then somewhere during the end of that second semester of teaching the course, I had one of those light bulb moments. I realized that the class itself was out of order. And if I could change the order, I might have a better chance at success. So I went to the chair of my department with my notes, with the ideas that I had for the course, wanting to retool the syllabus. And she said to me, "I'll give you permission to do this for 1 semester. Take careful notes. We'll study. I'll track your progress over the course of the semester. And if it goes well, we'll have a conversation afterwards. If it doesn't go well, you need to go back to the old way or to the standard way in which the course is taught across all sections of the course." Now, young grad student figuring that I could change the world, I'm up for the challenge, and I restructure the course. Now, in my course, in this hybrid course, Introduction to Human Communication, Introduction to Public Speaking, I tell my students, listen, here's how you pass this course. I'm going to give you a midterm. I'm going to give you a final. I will give you in-class activities and out-of-class assignments. And there are 4 speeches. And the 4 speeches in the course there was this intro speech or ceremony speech, similar to maybe what an MC would give. There was an informative speech. You got to teach us something. Improve, give us some depth of understanding. There was a persuasive speech. You have to call us to make a decision. And then finally, there was this group project, this group speech, group presentation on culture. And I told my students, hey, you could fail the midterm, you could fail the final exam, but as long as you participate in the in-class activities, you do the out-of-class assignments or activities, and you complete the 4 speeches, you will pass the class. Do the 4 speeches, you pass the class. Now, those first 2 semesters, again, disjointed speeches, students skipping class. There wasn't a lot of energy in the classroom. And I have this opportunity to change things because my argument is that the class is out of order. And here's what was happening. The chapter that correlated with the group project on culture, it was all about how we work in teams. It was about how we resolve conflict. It was leadership. All of that was in chapter 10. So I'm teaching students how to collaborate, how to work together, how to navigate conflict, how to understand different perspectives, these task roles versus these group management roles. I'm teaching them this 10 chapters later. 10 chapters later, 10 chapters after they really need this information, after they really need to understand or begin to process how to navigate people who are different from them. You know, a lot of higher education is built on individual contribution, or we award the individual learner or performer. So by the time we got to this group project on culture at the end of the semester, this is what was happening. I would give the students 20 minutes. I would say, be as creative as possible. You just need to answer the question, what is culture? That's it. That was the framing. I would get these presentations, these 20-minute presentations at the end of the semester, where in groups of 5 or 6, one student would come up and read their notes for 2 or 3 minutes. Another student would come up and read their notes for 2 or 3 minutes. Another student would come up and read their notes for 2 or 3 minutes. And it was 5 short 2 to 3 minute presentations, but there was no cohesion. There was no team. There was no working together. So when I flipped it, when I said, hey, here's what I want to do, because remember, I have the permission from the chair of my department to run this little experiment. Instead of making the presentation on this group project on culture, instead of making it the final major speech in the course, we're going to make it the first speech. We're going to ground the course in navigating identity, navigating culture, understanding what it means to work and be a part of a team. How do we deal with conflict? I brought guest presenters to come in and talk about behavior and personality. This is early in the course. All the stuff from chapter 10, I'm pulling it to the top of the semester, and we're setting the foundation of the course with this. And let me tell you, the class radically changed. The dynamics of the class radically changed after that first major presentation. Now, most people don't like group presentations for whatever reason. Insert your reason here. But I nudged them. I pushed them. I said, there's no way you're getting out of this. This sets the foundation of the course. Many would push back and say, I would much rather give an individual speech on the answer to what is culture. And I said, no, first major assignment is a group project, a group presentation on culture. And after I nudged them to that first presentation, really stretched them to unlock their creativity, amazing things happened. It totally changed the dynamics of the course. And after that group presentation, which set the foundation for the course, many of the groups still stuck together throughout the semester, helped each other with their individual speeches, coached each other through the assignments, and it radically changed the energy. People were itching to come to class. There weren't a lot of students who would skip days or skip assignments. It was a great place to be for several semesters to come, because we laid the proper foundation of how we start. The order worked so well in how I was teaching the course that the chair of my department said, we're going to officially adopt this as the way that we navigate communication skills. This hybrid of introduction to human communication and introduction to public speaking. Every section of the course will now start with the group project on culture. Now, this is where the leadership lesson lives. Because think about work now. Think about how we navigate the workspace. And the number of projects the number of deadlines, the conversations on strategy, whatever your critical KPIs are. We throw people in the direction of introducing us to what is important, to informing us of what we need to know, and to persuading us to make a decision. And we hope, we wish, we pray that these smart people are able to come together and work it all out. It's called agency delusion. But we skip over the reality that culture drives our success. Healthy culture drives the success of our projects. It helps us negotiate deadlines. It gives us clarity around our strategy. It helps us really accomplish these indicators that we're looking toward to be successful. Now, you can do an individual job as a performer really well, but when you talk about becoming a people leader, and then when you talk about becoming an enterprise leader, culture is extremely critical to your success. Now, here's the problem. The problem is that in many cases, just like I was doing in the classroom, we have this conversation out of order. We want to talk about team building and retreats and personality and bringing SDI and the disc inventory and MBTI and true colors and trust falls and all of these things. We want to do them. Typically, we want to do them after we fire somebody. And the psych safety is gone, or that person has started a conflict. We put them on a PIP. They're on a performance improvement plan, and we need to bring people back together. We need to smooth some things out, or there's some merger. Not always of two companies coming together. Sometimes it's two departments. You feel like there's some redundancy in what's going on. So we're going to bring we're going to bring the teams together. We're going to hire an outside facilitator. We're going to find somebody to help us smooth it all over. Or someone quits, or multiple someones quit because the culture that they thought they were walking into isn't the reality. And how often do we continue to lead our teams and ultimately lead our organizations out of order? So what would happen if we took seriously this notion that culture drives our success? And we didn't wait until we fired someone. We didn't wait until there was a big conflict. We didn't wait until there was a merger of departments. We didn't wait till one of our critical leaders quit before we start having the conversations that matter the most. So I want to challenge you in your role as a leader. I want to challenge you to stop treating the conversations around leadership and behavior and skills and strength and team. Stop treating them like they belong in chapter 10 and move them closer to chapter 1.